Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. So we have the final week of Clashfronts and I wanted to make an updated quick video of my team's recommendation for free to play and pay to win now that we do have some level 90 Phantomals. So we're going to begin with the free to play team. Formation ID will be in the corner. Team number 1 is going to be the Lily May Siren double damage dealer with Ravion to buff up both of them. This is a very strong team, and I think having the Snow Stomper in front of Ravion will get the most value because Ravion is going to be dealing the most number of normal attacks. He has like pretty good attack speed, and also he has survival with his Life Weaver shield. We have Hugin as well, obviously to buff up Siren as much as possible and ramp up his damage further. And also we have the Snow Stomper to take an enemy Lily May interruption. We have Divine Favor as well, that gives some energy recovery. Siren should be ultimating pretty soon into the match, and that is just going to be like the wombo combo with all of the damage we have from, Pheromore and Lily May. Buffing up Lily May as well. So yeah, this is going to be team number 1. Team number 2 is going to be the Graveborn Chimera team with the Blood Moon spell, because that is kind of the preferred artifact for this team, because 3 seconds into the battle the whole team will be buffed up. So when Chimera comes out of the box 4 seconds into the battle, she's going to have these buffs running and active and ready to blow the enemy team up. We have the Graveborn Grim Executioner Phantom, which we're going to be leveling up for the Primal Lord, and if you get him to level 80 and level 90, he unlocks a skill that basically is going to give a buff effect to the ally behind him. And it's going to cause them to deal a bit of bonus damage, and especially they deal more damage the more damage they deal. Like if you see the trigger of actually the skill, when the ally deals 1000% of their base attack, then the decay zone will move and it will again trigger more damage. And then you can also eventually, at level 90, you'll heal the Grim Executioner for 20% of the HP loss inflicted by the Spirit Marked hero. And so definitely you want to have this in front of a damage dealer. However, the thing is, I also want to use it as a tank, because the thing for this team is I do want to have Damon buffing up Chimera, which means that Damon can't really function that well as my tank. And I want to have Grim's Executioner tank, and then he can at least give the buff effect to Nero, who also will deal some decent damage, and then hopefully can get some value off of that. Because obviously if you have the Grim Executioner buffing up Chimera, in some ways it's ideal, but then it leaves your team very kind of susceptible, and then you would have to put Damon up front, for example, and then give up on the Damon attack buff onto Chimera, which I don't think is really worth it. So if we have this lineup, it's still really effective, and also then we have Ludovic up front to be healing more and basically provide a shield, or like basically a front line before they can begin attacking your Pandora, which is important. So yeah, this is going to be a solid Chimera Graveborn team. Team number 3 is going to be the Bonnie Citrana, which is very strong, but I'm going to recommend the Aerostorm artifact, because Aerostorm is going to trigger after you deal a certain amount of range damage, and basically almost all the damage from this team is going to be range. Iron's ultimate is range damage. Bonnie will obviously deal range damage, and then the ticking damage over time for Citrana, I believe, is also range, and Snow Stomper deals range damage. Tassi deals a lot of range damage, so you can basically trigger this and get that damage boost, and then really start bursting the enemy team. So that's why I'm going for the Aerostorm spell, because like for example Starblast is also a good option, but it's a little bit slower. Aerostorm is going to be bursting right from the beginning of the match, which I think is better, and this is a really like hard hitting nuke team. It can nuke people in a single combo even before Tassi casts her ultimate, so like having Aerostorm just to power up the nuking potential even further is really strong. So yeah, that is a really good team. Snowstormer will take the enemy Lily May interruption. We have Snowstormer giving the buff to Bonnie so that she can trigger those snowballs. Bonnie has a pretty good attack speed, so that is basically the comp that we have here. For team number 4, it is going to be the Baelran team. However, like I said, if you want to use, for example, Harok and you don't have Baelran, you can just replace literally Harok for Baelran in exactly the same position, and it's still going to do very effectively. But Baelran, I think more players, especially if you're a newer player, would probably have Baelran built as compared to Harok. And Baelran also does really well in this comp. Rowan is going to give the charm bonus to Baelran. We have immediate healing from Haywin and Rowan. We have the Pac-Bond spell for more protection and vitality for more value of the heals and shields. We have Twins to heal Baelran and buff Baelran. We have the damage reduction for Esther onto Baelran to basically give him even more survivability. And then we just have a Lucia. If you have, I think most people will not have a Lucia leveled up, especially as a free-to-play player, like all the way up to level 90. However, if you do, you just want to give it really to a hero which is going to be moving the most number of tiles during the course of the match, and Bailran probably is going to be the last man standing sometimes, so having him with the effect is going to be the best value. Okay, and then team number 5 is going to be, but back for team number 4, you can replace Haywin for Damien. If you need to replace Haywin, you can replace it for Damien. However, I definitely think Haywin is better because she has some burst healing right from the beginning of the match, and she's also going to have the energy recovery from the Fresto in front of her, and so she can get off her ultimate, and that is massive damage reduction and healing for the whole team. And then team number 5 is going to be the Mauler team with Sylvina jumping onto a backline threat along with Lone Gaze. If you have your Lone Gaze Phantom leveled up, then that's even better because the Lone Gaze will then give the Spirit Mark onto Sylvina to power up even further. We have the Seismic Spell to immobilize the enemy team, buying a bit of time and also allowing our team to get into position. We have 3 melee heroes who are all going to try to control the Honor Arena and then also get value from the Shakir buff. And we have the Coco Charms onto Shakir. Now, if you had Theodore, running like Theodore rather than Thorin would make this team way more offensive. This team still has one issue in that if the enemy has a Lily May, then they're going to interrupt your Shakir. However, there's only going to be one team the enemy has with Lily May on it, and so this can still get pretty good value, but Thorin also is a very safe option, and it just protects the Shakir more. And Thorin is also a hero that maybe more free-to-play players have built, although Theodore has become a real priority now, especially for AFK stages. So like probably by next season I'm going to consider Theodore free-to-play because of how much of a priority he is, and a lot of people are building him right now. So there we have basically the free-to-play teams. Before we move on to the pay-to-win teams, if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please consider using my affiliate link for the official Farlight Store. There is a link to that in the description of this video and a pinned comment. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase, so thanks a lot for your support. Okay, moving on to the pay-to-win teams. Pay-to-win team number 1 is the Diagonal Alyssa team. This team is strong. However, if you have Perseus built, for example, on your account and you don't have Diagonal, you can definitely run Perseus in a comp like this. Basically, Ravion for temporary buffs, Leica for temporary buffs, Divine Favor artifact, and then you throw in a Perseus and Zandrock, for example, rather than like Alyssa and Diagonal. That's also very, very effective and would be very strong because Perseus just runs down the center with Zandrock movement speed and all these temporary buffs, and he's going to shred through a lot of enemy teams. So if I had Perseus built like up to Paragon 4, I would probably be running him because Diagonal Alyssa, now this is definitely an interesting combo. Alyssa provides a survival to Diagonal, and then also Diagonal, once he gets off his ultimate, it's really a force we reckon with. He's gonna probably win your team the fight. However, the problem is, if the enemy has massive nuking damage, it is possible that the enemy is able to nuke your team before your Diagonal can even cast his ultimate. It is possible. However, it's going to be really hard to do that because we have Alyssa protection of him, we have Ravion Lifesaver Shield, and then we have Unaffected from the Divine Favor spell. So all those things are working in our favor. We have the Snowstormer to take an enemy Lily May interruption, so Diagonal will be able to more freely cast his ultimate. And Leica also gives some energy, basically boost. So Diagonal should be ultimating pretty fast into the match. Usually what happens is like you deal some nuking damage at the beginning, and then Alyssa and Diagonal are the last true standing, and they finish off the enemy team with their ultimates. But this is definitely a strong team. But like I said, Perseus and Zandrock rather than Alyssa and Diagonal would also be very, very effective. Honestly, very strong. Okay, so moving on to the next team, we have the same team which I'm recommending for free-to-play lineup, which is going to be Grim Executioner in front of Nero in front of Damon, Pandora in front of Shmira, and then Ludovic in front of Pandora to heal up all of your front line with the Blood Moon spell because it synergizes well with Shmira. For team number 3, same as a free-to-play lineup. This is also very strong, and I'm using the same Aerostorm artifact. Snowstormer giving his buff onto Bonnie, Citrana. Basically, Citrana and Bonnie are in a position that if the enemy has a Sylvina, like in these rearmost tiles, they're going to jump onto your Iron or to your Tassi, and Bonnie will be free to cast her debuff. Same with Citrana. Iron Almas combo is great, of course, and then Snowstorm will take an enemy Lily May interruption. Team number 4 is going to be, just like in the free-to-play lineup, we're running a Forester team, but here we're running a Forester Lightberry team, and this team is deadly. Basically, pack one spell for more added survival. You have the Foresters to create a front line, and then you have Zany, her 2 turrets, which are going to be tanky, but also dealing massive damage. We have the turret right up front and center, so this is actually going to be basically, this team is weird in a way because it's actually going to block my own side, like my own Foresters from coming up there and entering the enemy side, but also is going to block the enemy team from entering my territory basically. And the Foresters here are just basically more bodies to share damage from pack bond spell and give some useful buffs to the heroes behind them. We have Hugin in front of Siren. Siren's going to be casting an ultimate early on in the match. However, we don't obviously have anything to take an enemy Lily May interruption, but what I've done is I have real Forester in front of Hugin. Give boosted energy recovery to Hugin. Hugin and Siren both begin with 600 energy, but with this boosted energy recovery, hopefully Hugin will cast his ultimate before Siren, basically taking an enemy Lily May interruption if needed. Siren will freely get off his ultimate with all these bonus charms from Hugin, and then we have Kulu as well, just more range defense for our team. Tessio also synergizes well with this comp. Now, if you had Tessio upgraded high enough, like level 80, level 90 Phantom, then definitely you would want to have his buff onto someone, and you could go for it onto Kulu. I think this is fine. Or if you want to get a faster Siren ultimate, you could go for it on a Siren. But like I said, the problem is if the enemy has a Lily May and we give too much energy recovery to Siren, Siren's going to just eat that Lily May interruption, and that's not really what we want. So I would probably go for maybe a lineup like this, giving his buff onto Kulu, because Kulu also is going to benefit a lot from that energy recovery. But basically right now he's level 60, so I'm just running him in the back to take like a Bonnie debuff and stuff. But yeah, definitely I could see this being a good position. And then finally, team number 5 is the most pay to win. Well, I mean, 2 of the heroes are basically free to play, which are the Twins and Rainier, but the other 3 are very pay to win. Now, this team has done obviously very well for me in Clashfronts. We also now have the Lucia Phantom upgraded, which means she's going to be giving that buff onto Athalia. Athalia is basically one of the best allies to be buffed by the Spirit Mark of Lucia, because Athalia is going to be jumping around the map, dealing, like, moving a lot. And every 4 tiles move, you're going to deal this, like, a crowd control and also damage. And Athalia is going to be able to trigger that basically on the cooldown of it. And we also have Seismic Spell just to lock down the enemy further, provide more tankiness with the range defense buff. And it's just going to buy more time from our team. And then we have Rainier to position swap someone in. And it should definitely be hitting someone. Like, if it doesn't get Saida, for example, if they're not running anyone on the rearmost, which they may not be, they're probably going to have some heroes grouped around here, and Athalia will be swapped, or worst case, even the Twin will be swapped to at least get some value from the Rainier. We have Rainier charms on the Saida, but those don't really help because Saida is a melee hero, so the range damage boost from Rainier charms don't really help her that much. And we have Dunlinger to, like, you know, prevent enemy Cryonaya stuff, or Dunlinger is just, obviously you want to run him in one of your Clashfronts team, and we have Saida free to be able to ultimate to begin stalling for our team. Now, Seismic Spell could be replaced by Starblast. I was running Starblast for a while, like in previous weeks, and it did really well. Starblast is a really good artifact to be running with this team as well. It's going to power up Athalia further. However, Seismic Spell also has a lot of utility, and I really feel like it should be on one of my teams, so I am running it here. But basically, that is going to be it for the teams, like my optimized teams. These pay-to-win teams are what I'm going to be running for this final week. They did well for me in the previous week, but also my whole guild is very strong, and that's why we ended up first with no issue at all. But thanks for watching. If you guys have any other teams which are working for you, feel free to share them in the comment section down below. If you're not already a member of my AFK Journey Discord server, please join that. There is a link to that in the description of this video. Also, if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight Store. There is a link to that in the description of this video and a pinned comment. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.